Welcome back. My name is Gavin Brit, and what we're going to do now is we're going to do some mushroom risotto. I'm going to show you how to oven roast some garlic. We're going to show you the technique on how to make a proper risotto, and we're going to saute some mushrooms. So let's get started. What you want to do is you want to make sure that when you do your risotto, you want to make sure your pan is nice and hot. What we're going to do is we're going to add just a little bit of canola oil into the pot. And as always, we want to make sure that it is a proper temperature. So what we're going to do is just make sure that it rolls around inside. Once we know that that's the right temperature, what we're going to do is start with our onion. What we're going to do here is we're going to dice it. So not a large dice and a small dice, just a medium dice should be fine. Peel the outer layer off. Do that like that. And when we're going to dice it, what we want to do is, last time when julienne, we wanted to make real thin slices. On this one, we're going to make dice. So you're going to want to go in through the middle of it, not all the way through. Again, you don't want to make it harder than it actually has to be. Then what you want to do is, again, you want to leave the root side on. So when you go to cut it, it doesn't fall apart. So instead of making the really thin slices, we're going to go just slightly bigger, maybe about 3/4 of an inch. Then we're just going to come down, and we have a dice. Easy as that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this to our pot. Until the pot's a little hot, so what we're going to do is pull it off the heat. Let it relax a little bit. While it's doing that, it's going to give me time to add some pepper and a little bit of salt. Roll it around in there. What we want to do here is just make it translucent. It's just going to get rid of the bitterness of the onion. Not quite as sweet, but still leaves a little bit of texture left in the product. So, and here it's starting to settle down. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab just a little bit of garlic. Why? Because it tastes great. I love it. Put it in anything. All right. And there we go. Now what we're going to do is add our arboreal rice. The arboreal rice it's a little thicker of a grain. It's really kind of short. See if I can put some on the cutting board here. Jasmine rice would be very long, kind of skinny. There's not a lot of starch there. So when we want to go and make like a risotto, it needs to be thicker. It needs that starch. It needs to release some of that starch to make this kind of thick, creamy, really just kind of dense. It's very good rice. So what we're going to do, we're going to add this right in there. Move this off to the side. Stir it up. What we're going to do with this is just let it do its thing, maybe for 2 or 3 minutes. What you want to do is just make sure that you cook the outside of the rice just enough. You don't want to brown it. You just want to give it just a little bit of heat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slowly add our vegetable broth that you can just get at any store. Whether you go to Winco or Nugget or Rayleigh, Safeway, they have them in everyone. You want to make sure you get the low sodium. That way you don't oversalt your product. It's better for you. You can lower your blood pressure, the whole 9 yards. So what we're going to do, let's see it browning just a little bit in there. So with this, you just add a little bit at a time. And you're gonna, what you're gonna do on this is you're gonna let the rice absorb the liquid. And then once it does, you can add more to it. If you add it too quickly, it becomes too gluten-y, it sticks together, it doesn't cook all the way through. It's kind of temperamental stuff. So just a little bit at a time will ensure that you cook it correctly. You always want to stir the bottom of the pot. With this, the starch tends to want to burn on the bottom of the pot. So if you're not paying attention, you're going to burn it and you're going to have to start over. And the rice, it's kind of finicky, but it's worth it in the end. You can almost eat it as an entree if you wanted to. It's pretty good stuff. So now that this is well on its way, what I'm going to do is just transfer it off onto a side burner. Then what we're going to do is get started with our oven roasted garlic and herbs. What we're going to do now is we're going to oven roast some garlic. It's very simple. All you really do need is going to be a roasting pan. Obviously you're going to need some garlic cloves. All you're going to do is pop them in there. All right, we're going to take some olive oil, just enough to coat them. Kick that off to the side. We're going to add some salt and pepper. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take some herbs. I like rosemary and thyme. When you do the roasting, you don't want to peel them off of the stem because you're going to add these roasted garlic pieces to the risotto at the end. And if you got to peel sticks and stems and twigs out of it, it's going to take a lot of time. It's not going to be worth it. So you just want to put them in there whole. Then when you do that, you just kind of want to mix them all together in the oil. That way they are coated evenly and release the oils out of the herbs, and that way it'll season everything as well. So all we're going to do now is just pop them into the oven. We want to pop them into the oven for, we'll start with probably 20 minutes at 400 degrees, and then just open it up, check it out. If it looks golden brown and delicious, pull it out. If it doesn't look done, we'll leave it in there for probably another 5 minutes, okay? So here we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start working on our sauteed mushrooms. We're going to start with the portobello first. What we're going to do is just pop the stem off, throw that there. We just want to empty all the gills out into the sink. Again, they don't taste very good. Most of the time they got dirt and different things in there. They're just better off getting rid of them. And just take a spoon, take the side of it and just kind of gently scrape the underside of the mushroom, and the gills will come right off real easy. All right, there we are. Clean the spoon, clean the hand. All right, then we're going to cut it into cubes. So what we want to do is julienne it. Turn it sideways. Again, how you hold the knife is you want to make sure that you're not like this. If you hold on to it like this, you don't have that much control. And what ends up happening is when you slice, you either slice inward or you slice outward. And it's very hard to be consistent that way, and you end up cutting yourself. So again, you want to make sure that your knuckles are kind of curved in, and that you take the knife blade and push it against your fingers and then just kind of rock through. I'll show you how that looks. Slide the product to the side. There we go. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to add it into our pan, but first we're going to put a little oil in it and get the pan ready to go. So here's a pan we're going to use. Just a little bit of oil. I'm going to start with garlic first. Roll it around, make sure it's white. When it's white, you know to move on. We're going to add our mushrooms in. This, we're going to add just a little bit of water. Just steam them up. Go back to our risotto. Just make sure that it's still got plenty of liquid in here so we don't burn it to the bottom or destroy our perfect creation here. All right. A little bit of salt and pepper to that. And when using stocks, you want to take it easy on the salt. What ends up happening is the stocks have a fair amount of salt in them already. And if you continue to keep adding salt into everything in large amounts, it's going to really affect the dish and make it far too salty. And we want to keep this healthy too. So what we want to do is rely on technique to pull the full flavor out of the ingredient rather than artificially boost it with too much salt. So now that's going, we'll roll that onto the back burner. We can start with our next mushroom. So we're going to do this at about medium heat. Again, with saute, you want to listen to it. If it's too loud, starts popping, smoking, hissing, turn it way down, and you're better off just leaving the pan alone for a couple seconds till it cools down. That way you don't burn the product inside the pan. That's not what we want to do. All right, add just a little bit more vegetable stock to the risotto. Just want to keep it at a nice, calm simmer. You don't want it to boil, but you don't want it to not do anything either. All right. Add just a little bit of oil to our pan here. What we're going to do now is we're going to slice our button tops and our shiitakes. So what we're going to do, I've already removed the stems at the bottom of the buttons. So now I'm going to do it with these. So what you want to do is you're going to grasp onto it, just like the outside, and pull. And it's just going to come right off. You do not want to cook these for any reason. They are chewy, they're not good eats. Throw those away. All right, put these to the side. I'm going to do the buttons first. So we're just going to get kind of a slice out of it. So what you want to do with this is we're going to take the mushroom and I'm going to roll it back like that as I cut. If you're not comfortable with that, you can do it like this. I'll do both to show you how you do it. And then when you get to 80%, 90% of the way through, slide it out and just finish it up. That's how you'll do that. If you want to roll it, this is how you roll it. If you're doing a bunch of mushrooms and you're just going to cook them down anyway, so it really doesn't matter exactly what it looks like because it's going into, let's say, a risotto dish. It doesn't need to be perfectly sliced. But for the sake of doing it perfect, we'll do it that way for now. Always wanting to keep the knife blade against your fingers and tuck your knuckles in. Put these in the bowl. All right. I'm going to turn around and check my product just to make sure that it's not on fire. Everything looks good. Stir the risotto up. I've been adding the chicken, or not the chicken broth, the vegetable broth, about every 5 minutes on a medium heat. Just making sure that the bottom of the pan is not being scorched. You can take the spatula and you'll kind of feel the bottom of the pan. If you feel any kind of resistance, like there's something built on, you want to scrub that off. If you don't, it's going to then go from, a nice fawn, which is caramelized, to burnt, which will destroy the entire dish. And it only takes a little bit to destroy the whole thing. That's doing good. That's doing good. We're going to go back to our other mushrooms. These are going to be very fibrous, so they're going to take a little bit more effort to slice through. And you're going to have to put just a little bit more pressure on it. With the shiitake mushroom, you want to add these first. Since they're fibrous, they take a little bit longer to cook. They have a more distinct flavor, but you have to work with it to get it. So just add this to our oil. Coat the mushrooms. Add a little bit of water to steam it. Stir our risotto. Just turn the heat down a little bit, maybe to like a medium-low temp. Come back here, flip them around. Add a little pepper to it. And I'm going to probably relax off the salt on this one. Now we can go ahead and add our other mushrooms. Just a touch more oil. A little bit of water, just get them going. You can listen to it. The pan, it's hot, but it's borderline. So when it's quiet like that, you don't want to kill it with water, because then you're just going to take all of the heat out of the pan, and you're not going to be sauteing, you're going to be steaming and boiling, and that's not what you want to do. All right, we'll let that do its thing for a while. We're just going to check on our oven roasted garlic just to see how it's doing. It looks pretty good. So we're just about done. I can pull this out and let it rest on the range, and ready to use it in no time. Oh, it smells good too. So I'm just going to add a little bit more vegetable broth to our risotto. Done in probably about 10 minutes. What we're going to do now is we're just going to throw some herbs into the mushrooms, and then what we're going to do is then combine our risotto. We're then going to make a balsamic honey reduction, and we're going to pour that on top. So what we're going to do is just take the leaves off the rosemary, just like that. So you want to start from the top and peel down. If you try and do the other way, it'll just break in half and you won't get any of the leaves off. So rosemary is very strong. There's a lot of oil in it, so a little goes a long way. And as far as time, that is not quite as strong. So you want to use probably a 2-to-1 ratio would be fine. And I think time tastes better anyways. But the blend tastes amazing. With time, if the I guess the branches or twigs or sprig, whatever you want to call it. If it's really kind of dense and it's woody, you want to, you know, get rid of that one obviously. But if towards the top of the sprig, it's going to get really tender. So you can sit there and take every little leaf off and just have the stem there, but that's going to take forever, and it's really not going to make that big of a difference when you apply heat to it, because it's going to really kind of become soft, tender, and more like the actual leaf itself. So wouldn't worry too much about that. What we're going to do, bunch it together. How you do this is when you bunch it, you kind of want to press down on it. And what you want to do is you want to take your blade, slide it over, push the herbs on the blade, like up against it. Now what you want to do is when you slice, you don't want to open the blade up too tall, because all the herbs are just going to spill out the right side. So you just want to do it real slow, keep the herbs tight against it, and you'll get a nice cut. And if you have to rebunch them, that's fine. Just want to make sure you do it right. Take out the big ones. And here we go. Take your herbs and just put them right inside your mushrooms. Throw it back on the heat. What we're going to do with that is it's just going to release the oils. You add herbs too soon, and what you find is you lose the apex of flavor. So when you're cooking, everything has an apex. If it's rice, you want to give it a little longer to cook. If it's an eggplant, obviously you want to throw it in the middle. But if it's an herb, it's very small, it's delicate. If you add it in the beginning, it'll get lost in the flavors. It won't stand out at all, and you'll barely be able to tell it's even there unless you've added so much that it's going to stand out no matter what. But always kind of want to add them at the end. Mix them up, just let that cook for just a little bit. Then pull it off the heat. Then what we're going to do is we're going to roll this on high heat for the reduction. So what we do is you want to add the balsamic vinegar first. Quarter cup, half cup, it's really how much you want to make. What you do is this gets put in the pan, then we're going to add our honey to it, and then we're going to boil it. And then, or simmer, I'd rather say simmer, you don't want to boil it. And what it does is it thickens. And when it thickens, it becomes this syrup, thick, just full of, it's something you're just going to have to try. You just glaze it on top of whatever you made. It really just amplifies the flavor. It gives it that acidity, that a little bit of saltiness. It's love. That's all I can say. It just tastes amazing. So you're just going to take the honey. Just put it in there. I'm just going to let that come to a simmer, and then when it does that, it's going to reduce. As it reduces, it'll get thicker and thicker and thicker, and then what we're going to do is just put it on top of the risotto. Now, as far as the risotto, I've been simmering it for about 20 minutes at about low to medium heat, just continuing to stir it, add stock little by little by little, just until the rice is thoroughly cooked. You just want to take a spoon and make sure that it's cooked all the way through. Don't rush it. If you're going to do it right and just take your time. But you do have to make sure that you continue to stir it. If you don't, it's going to turn into a mess. The only thing more embarrassing than burning it is sitting in the kitchen for 30 minutes scrubbing the bottom of a pan. That's always fun. So on the reduction, what's going to happen is it's going to start to get thicker. As the water content goes down and you still have your sugars and everything left, else left in the pot, it's going to start to raise up. And though it looks like it's still rather runny inside of the actual pan, when it goes to room temperature, it's going to thicken quite a bit and it's going to go to the syrup state. So you want to catch it when the bubbles are about, I mean, it's hard to say, I don't know, maybe about that big. That's kind of what you want. And then, so we're at that stage right now. So remember, that's what it looks like when it's boiling. You pull it off the heat, let it relax. And when it thickens, we'll show you how thick it really is. It's very deceiving. All right, and what we're going to do now is we're just going to plate our risotto and put it all together and finish it up. Should be good. Just take our rubber spatula. See how thick that is? That's what you want. That's love right there. All right, this back onto that. Take our oven roasted garlic. What we're gonna do is just take the herbs out. There you go. What you want to do is you want to kind of drain the oil off it because you don't want a lot of oil. It's really heavily flavored, so it tastes amazing, but it's not going to be the healthiest thing you ever had in your life. So you just kind of want to put the garlic right on top. Just like that. Then we're going to get our mushrooms. There we go. Just going to kind of spoon them on. All right, just like that. Clean up our spoon a little bit. We're going to go to our reduction. Just going to kind of drizzle it on. And a little goes a long way, so you really don't need to kill it. Just a tiny bit to flavor it. Then just take a little bit of herbs at the top, sprinkle it on, and there we go. Mushroom risotto.